Danny Segura here in South Florida. I'm next to Lance Palmer, former PFL champion, and he'll be competing here on Saturday at RFA 5. First of all, Lance, how did this come about? Because I also learned today that you're also working behind the scenes with the promotion, so you're kind of playing both roles now.
Yeah, they brought me in July of this past year as head of talent, and working on the corporate on the backside of it has been awesome because it's kind of like my first real job I've had since my whole life. I went from college wrestling right into fighting, and I run some businesses back home in Columbus, but this is like my first thing is being part of a big company. So it's been awesome so far, but the matchup actually came as, I wanted to compete for the company, and that's originally how we got in touch with each other. Yeah. And then when they brought me on the team to work with the company too, it's like kind of doing both things, but it's a lot of fun. And like I said in the press conference, I only want to compete about a year and a half more, and then I'll be ready to hang it up and just watch my kids grow up and compete on their own and kind of live through them. So this is like my last push to be able to live through my own competition. So yeah.
And I want to ask you about Arman Tsarukyan in a second, but I'm very interested about RFA. What RFA is doing is something that it just seems so obvious now, but like it didn't exist years ago, right? Like we kind of saw it in jiu-jitsu with bringing UFC guys over and certain promotions, but RFA is now doing that, but with wrestling and really making the sport a lot more exciting. It just seemed like there was a big void for that, right? And it seems like there's a market for it as well. When they came up with for you to get on board and stuff, were you like, yes, I'm on 100%, and you kind of understand the vision they're trying to do here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've wrestled for other leagues that tried to pop off back in the day. And like there was a league called Aegon. I actually wrestled Jordan Oliver in that league back in 2015. And then, a couple other leagues like Real Pro Wrestling and a couple other things like that. But it just didn't have the same vision and the same drive and, the same funding behind it. And, we have the right people that they're looking to build a business, and that's what you need for something like this to succeed, because it is an entertainment business at the end of the day. Even though the sport is wrestling, you got to look at all the big entertainment companies that are successful for decades and decades, and that's kind of what we're trying to mirror that same thing. So I was all in from the beginning because I'm a wrestling guy, and this brought me full circle from starting wrestling at 9 years old to getting back into it, on the corporate side too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So again, you'll be facing Tsarukyan tomorrow. What have you made of his wrestling level? He, there's not much out there in terms of freestyle, but obviously you see him in the UFC.
Yeah.
Good grappler.
No, very good grappler. He's awesome competitor all the way around. I like that he's competing and staying active outside of the UFC as well, because he's not getting the fight that he wants right now. So seeing his grappling matches and things like that, and the tough part is there's not enough of them for me to really study in like strictly wrestling. So that'll be kind of a feeling out process early in the match to see like what his tendencies are, how he reacts to certain things. So, but that's why it's fun. I mean, he's a high level athlete no matter what sport it is, whether it's MMA, grappling, wrestling, it doesn't matter. I mean, the main thing is I like to compete, and I like to compete against the best, and he's the best at 155 in the world. And even though I'm a featherweight, it's a guy, I'm not getting punched and kicked in the face. We can go out there, have a great wrestling match, put it on the line, and I know he's a high-level competitor, and he's got that competitive mindset. So I thought it was a no-brainer.
Yeah. And feel free if you don't want to give your opinion on this, but, the MMA world has kind of gone crazy over the last few weeks over the fact that he's not fighting for the interim belt.
Yeah.
And Gagey and Paddy Pimblett are. Obviously, a lot of people think he's the most deserving guy. You think he's the best 55er, as you just mentioned. As a competitor, as someone who obviously went through the wrestling system where, it doesn't matter what you say, how popular you are. If you win, you move on, and you also experienced that under PFL. Do you almost feel bad for him for what he's going through? Because, you just look at the rankings, you look at the records, and it does feel like he should be in there, right?
No, 100%. And, my MMA career was this way. That's why PFL was so great for me, is you win and move on, because I wasn't a huge crap talker. I wasn't a guy who tried to, get attention from people. I just wanted to go win and prove that I'm the best. And so I think that's what he does. And I think that, when you're that type of person that, doesn't try to get clout somewhere else or things like that, the entertainment side of it, you're not as much of a draw, or you're not somebody they really want in there. But I know there was a lot of things on the back end of it that could have caused, or reasons why they didn't want to give him the match, which it is what it is, and you can't really fight with what the higher ups are going to say. Yeah. You just got to kind of go with the punches, and he's proven that he's the best, and if and when he does get his shot, I know he'll go out there and do what he needs to do. But until then, he's doing exactly what he should do and be active. And even though it's in different sports, just be competitive. Yeah. Because that competitive drive, and you don't really get that type of ring rust if you're competing everywhere. And I mean, he's traveling all over the world right now competing. So he had 2 grappling matches within the last month, and now we're going to wrestle tomorrow. Yeah. So it's awesome. I tip my hat to him for doing that and just being a student of the game. Yeah.
And now back to your career. You mentioned a year and a half till you turned 40, so I'm assuming you're 38 and a half?
Yeah, well, I'm closer to 39. I'll be 39 in February, so I really have, just over a year to finish my career and give my body, the full beating until I'm done, doing that. So I'm excited about it, but it's also kind of bittersweet, Yeah, of course. My goal with competing in MMA kind of changed during COVID when we kind of got froze for 18 months with PFL and things like that. So I kind of had to switch gears and change my vision a little bit. And then, the 2 seasons after that didn't really go how I wanted because of my mindset going into those. Yeah. So you just got to move forward from that stuff. And, if I can get one more good year and, maybe get 2 fights, maybe get 3 fights, that'd be a cool goal to have. I'm not signed with any leagues right now, but if the right things happen and I could get the opportunity, I would love to, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. I'm very busy with RAF, and we're putting together fire cards every month. Yeah. So that's our deal with Fox, and we got to put 1 card a month, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to try and put the best matchups and the most exciting matchups together. So that's part of my focus right now anyway, and then when I'm completely done competing, then that'll be even more just my main focus is to keep growing this. But I mean, it's the snowball has grown and it's just rolling.
Last question: 3 current UFC fighters you'd like to see competing in RFA that are not signed. Obviously, Segura signed,
yeah.
Favor.
That's a tough one. 3 current UFC guys. We'd like to get Aljo. Okay, yeah. It's already, we've already kind of
New York State champion.
Yeah, yeah. He's a really good wrestler. I trained with him at Extreme Couture when I trained in Vegas, and he's really skillful. Obviously, he's funky, so he can bring that to the table too. So we'd like to get him in here. Maybe just wrestle one of our guys, or maybe just get another fighter for him to wrestle or something like that. But Aljo would be exciting. We want to get Kamaru Usman. Obviously, we have the same manager, so I think that would be fun if he's up for it. And how depending on fight schedules, that's the hardest part right now. And then a third one. Obviously, it would be, he's kind of retired, but John Jones. Yeah. We would love to get that. If it's not Cormier versus Jones, I think it'd be cool to get both of those guys wrestling, even if it's separately on a card. So, whatever it is, we want wrestlers who went to MMA and carried wrestling on their back to come back and, kind of be a way for us to give back to them in a way of hey, we're growing this. And, the guys that went from wrestling to MMA helped keep wrestling alive. Yeah. And that's how I always felt when I went into MMA. It was I'm going to keep wrestling alive on this side of it, because my goal was never really to go to the Worlds or Olympics, and there was no monetary value in it at the time. It was really tough. So that was my main reasoning out of college, was I'm going to go start fighting. And went to Uriah's gym, and that was where it all started. So to get the MMA guys who wrestled in the past to come back, like Colby, I mean, it's great. And obviously Bo, he's not far out of his wrestling career yet still, but some of these older guys who can come back and hopefully put on a show for us, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. Well, Lance, I appreciate the time, and best of luck tomorrow, man.
I appreciate it.